As part of his newly announced wide-ranging immigration policy, President Donald Trump expected to ban visas to citizens from 7 mostly Muslim countries, including Iraq, Iran, and Syria, as he continues signing a slate of executive orders. He's also expected to dramatically reduce the number of refugees allowed into the country. Brandy here this morning with more.
Yeah, good morning. And joining us is Arsalan Bukhari, the executive director of the Council on American-Islamic Relations in Washington State. We appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm curious, this is something that he talked about on the campaign trail. I don't know if anybody really thought that he was joking. So is it a surprise to you that this is happening now?
It's not a surprise. We took all of candidate Trump's promises at face value and have been planning for it for many, many months. I think people also have sincere concerns. And I think when we have concerns, we should step back and look at the facts. We should know that American Muslims deserve the same opportunities as all Americans to raise and educate their children, because that's really what American Muslim families want. It's the opportunity to raise and educate their children in the traditional American way. And people may know that there's 50,000 American Muslim medical doctors across the country who are waking up this morning to lives every single day. Many of them came from immigrant or refugee parents, or who themselves may have been refugees. And right here in Seattle, we have thousands upon thousands of tech workers who are, coming up with the newest cell phone technology, and many of them also are immigrants from some of these countries that are going to be banned now.
What have you heard about this? You and I, we've done a lot of stories together before where we got a chance to meet some Muslim Americans living here in Seattle, some people who came here from other countries, and I know that you very much have your hand on the pulse of that community here in Seattle and Western Washington. Are they worried about this? Are they worried about their continued treatment, or how their families, if they want to come to the United States? What's your sense that you're getting from them right now?
Well, I think the real impact of this sort of discourse is on children growing up across the country, law-abiding U.S. citizens who are American Muslims, and they're now wondering about their future, because it doesn't matter what the technicalities are or the legal specifics are. This sort of conversation really spurs conversations in children's own minds about their own future and what their future holds when their president is aiming at their faith.
Is there any, Donald Trump, a lot of the things that he's been doing, these executive orders, not only related to these visas, but also to immigration, he says that this is making America safer. And that's really the platform that he ran on: law and order, protecting America, keeping us safe. So these 7 countries, and again, this would be, my understanding is a temporary ban on visas from these 7 countries: Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, Yemen, a ban for at least 30 days. Do those countries, do you agree with him in any extent that there is things happening, or are things happening in those countries that would pose a risk to the United States?
Mm-hmm. I'm not privy to the conversations that he has had with people from those countries, but what we do know is that, according to all law enforcement experts, singling people out because of their race or religion is ineffective. It keeps no one safe. So singling people out keeps no one safe. I think we should, when we have challenges or sincere concerns, we should look back at the facts and go back to the Constitution, which says that there is no religious test for being an American.
How do you think this is going to play out then? Because it seems as if, even on the sanctuary city executive order he signed yesterday, which would strip federal funding from sanctuary cities. I mean, he's seen backlash. He signed it anyway. I don't know that anybody's doubting that he's going to sign these draft orders, which leaked about these visa bans to the public. So how do you think it's going to play out? Do you think that there's going to be any conversations that could perhaps stop this from happening?
It's hard to say. I think he may go forward with his plans, but I think what it tells us as Americans is that we have to do much, much more to get to know each other. American Muslims out there watching today should, do even more to get to know their neighbors, their coworkers, and others. And friends of American Muslims also should talk more publicly and vocally through letters to editors or through their social media posts about the American Muslims they know. And that way they can use their social media platforms and other platforms to educate fellow Americans about their Muslim neighbors.
One of the things that Donald Trump has talked a lot about is strengthening the requirements for entry into the United States on a visa, particularly from these 7 countries and other countries, just making sure that the process is more rigorous, that we have a full understanding of why they're coming into the country. Do you think, as it stands right now, that process for these visas is enough?
What seems to be enough, according to the State Department, it's been enough. And I think we can always go back to, one event here, one event there. But every research study known to mankind about American Muslims paints a picture of American Muslims as higher than median income levels, the lowest crime rates among any other religious group in the U.S. American Muslim women are the second highest educated in the country. And again, 50,000 medical doctors across the country are American Muslims saving lives. 10 to 20,000 American Muslims are military personnel keeping us all safe. So when we have challenges and sincere concerns, we should step back and look at the facts versus rhetoric coming from politicians.
Yeah, I got a chance to read an interesting story from the Department of Defense about a young Muslim man who actually fled to the United States and became a U.S. Marine and then went back to fight for his country. The United States is an interesting read. Arsalan Bukhari, we appreciate your time and your expertise, and we'll probably have you back on after these orders roll out so we can talk about the impact once they're actually pen to paper.